Heartwarming revelation. Billionaire grandma tears up seeing Waitress's inspiring hidden necklace. The diner buzzed with the clatter of plates and the murmur of hungry patrons. Nothing new for Liz. At 28, she had mastered the art of juggling orders and refills, her smile a steadfast shield against the weariness creeping into her bones. But this day felt different. As she rushed past the corner booth where Eleanor sat, an unlikely duo of fate collided. Nestled beneath her uniform, a delicate necklace glimmered, a cherished gift from her late mother, a constant reminder of her own struggles and dreams. It was a source of strength for Liz, a daily symbol of hope that fueled her longing to create a community center for underprivileged kids. She imagined it like a lighthouse amid a stormy ocean, a place where lost souls could find direction. "Your hair is such a lovely shade of red," Eleanor remarked suddenly, breaking Liz's concentration. It was a compliment cutting through the chaos, warm and genuine. Liz turned, her heart thudding as she returned the gaze of the secluded billionaire. Eleanor's silver hair framed her wise face, and in that moment, the divide between their worlds began to dissolve. As Liz poured coffee, she shared stories of how her mother, despite having little, inspired her to dream big. Eleanor listened, rapt, an ache tightening in her chest as nostalgia swelled. Memories of her own struggles surfaced, the hardships of being poor but rich in love. For the first time in years, a sense of compassion sparked. She recognized the warmth of authenticity she once craved. Just then, a table full of affluent patrons shattered the moment. Their laughter rang out insensitively as they flung around words like servant and poor. Liz's cheeks burned. She had faced mockery before, but this time, it felt blistering. A part of her wanted to retreat, but as she straightened her back, her mother's voice echoed in her mind, urging her to stand her ground. "That's enough," Liz addressed them, her voice steady. "I am more than what you see. I'm proud of where I come from." Eleanor watched, astonished, as Liz held her ground. There was a fire in her spirit that ignited something within the wealthy grandmother, a flicker of recognition of the sacrifices made in silence. It was a mirror reflecting her own life choices, how she cast aside her family in pursuit of riches, only to feel more alone than ever. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The once ambient noise blurred into the background as the two women confronted their shared vulnerability. Liz's heart raced. She sensed a rare connection. The weight of their histories hung heavy in the air, the painful choices and the journey towards redemption. A decision loomed in Eleanor's eyes as she contemplated reaching out to help. Could she undo years of estrangement from her own family? Would Liz's dreams be the bridge they both so desperately needed? It was a powerful moment, charged with questions that remained unanswered, leaving the air thick with anticipation. Would they each find the solace they sought in one another's lives, or would their pasts remain a chasm they couldn't cross? Eleanor's throat tightened as she absorbed Liz's fierce words. The diner faded away, and all she could see was the fiery spirit in front of her. A quiet resolve settled over Eleanor. She needed to act. She felt the weight of regrets and missed opportunities press down on her. Could she truly reach across the divide that years of distant choices had laid? Eleanor began, her voice trembling, drawing a curious glance from Liz. This woman, with her youthful passion, stood in stark contrast to the gilded cage Eleanor had constructed for herself. Suddenly, there was a loud crash. A glass tipped over at another table, breaking the intensity of the moment. Startled, both women turned to see a young girl, maybe 6 or 7, grimacing as her mother hurried to clean the spill. Watching the girl's stricken face, Liz felt a pang of hurt. That could have been her childhood, messy, chaotic, yet filled with joy and dreams. "Kids shouldn't have to feel ashamed," Liz muttered, the fire in her heart igniting anew. "They should feel loved, encouraged, free to mess up without fear. That's why I want to build that community center where they can be bright stars in a world that often dims their light." Eleanor's heart thudded against her ribcage. Could she really help Liz achieve that dream? The thought terrified her, but also thrilled her. The shared moment of vulnerability lingered, glancing between Liz's hopeful eyes and her own hardened ones filled with years of sorrow. What if I told you I could help? Eleanor's voice was just above a whisper, but it struck Liz like a bolt of electricity. The sobs of the young girl faded into background noise, and Liz's heart raced faster. Help? Like financially? Liz's brow furrowed, skepticism creeping in. She had seen the disparity in the world. Could this woman who had once epitomized opulence truly want to invest in a dream that wasn't her own? Eleanor nodded, though uncertainty flickered in her own chest. I have resources more than I know what to do with. But it's not just about money. It's about rekindling hope, not just for you, but for everything I abandoned. I've lived in a world where wealth can be isolating. Giving is the first step to reconnecting, maybe with my family, too. The two women held each other's gaze, silently contemplating the leap of faith being proposed. The founder of a community center? A chance for Eleanor to reconnect? It felt like a fairy tale, too good to be true. What's the catch? Liz asked, narrowing her eyes. Eleanor chuckled softly. I wouldn't say there's a catch, but a partnership. If we do this together, both our scars could heal. You teach me to dream again, and I'll give you the wings to soar. Liz blinked, trying to grasp the enormity of the moment. Could she very well be facing a chance to weave her dreams into reality? A chance to help others while also finding closure with her own past? For every hopeful child, she could create a safe harbor. Just then, a rough crowd entered the diner, rattling the air with boisterous laughter and arrogance. Liz stood, the trajectory of her life now aligned with purpose but also facing adversity, unpredictable and intense. Would she stand firm against what she stood for, or would fear threaten to unravel this newfound hope? Can we truly make this happen together? Liz finally asked, doubt creeping into her voice. It was a question against the backdrop of the clatter and raucous laughter. Eleanor took a deep breath and whispered, we'll have to find out together. Their worlds hung in the balance, poised for change, but danger loomed. The noisy entrance hadn't gone unnoticed. Unbeknownst to them, shadows of disapproval were watching from the fringes. What ripples would this unexpected partnership create? Would they face the reckoning gracefully, or crumble from the weight of judgment as their worlds began to entwine? The air in the diner crackled with tension, like static before a storm. Liz's heart raced, her mind spinning with the weight of Eleanor's offer. It felt monumental, yet frightening. Just as she prepared to respond, the rough crowd that had just stormed and broke her train of thought. Their laughter was loud and overbearing. Liz glanced at Eleanor, who remained calm, but Liz could sense the shift. The atmosphere became charged. The diners who were once lost in their meals now shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to stay or flee from the impending chaos. Let us go outside, Liz suggested, her voice just above a murmur, but Eleanor shook her head, determination washing over her features. No, let us stay. We can't let them control the narrative. Eleanor's gaze hardened as she faced the table of rowdy patrons. They were the kind of people who thrived in chaos and reveled in attention. But Liz could feel Eleanor's resolve strengthening the boundaries of what they wanted to achieve together. Feeling inspired, Liz straightened her shoulders, her conviction hardening. You're right. We're not backing down. Eleanor smiled, her confidence bolstered by Liz's newfound strength. It dawned on her that this partnership wasn't just about creating a community center. It was a rebirth of the person she wanted to be, a woman willing to stand up for herself and for those who needed help. Look, Liz said, nodding toward the rowdy group. They're just bystanders on their own lives. They don't know what it means to fight for something. As they exchanged a knowing glance, both women felt the gravitational pull towards one another's dreams. It was encouraging that they stood so close to a shared purpose, igniting a flicker of hope that felt tangible. One of the patrons, a burly man with messy hair and a thick beard, leaned close to the waitress by the counter, shouting something offensive. The noise distracted the diner even further, as whispers turned into murmurs of discontent. Eleanor clenched her fists, anger simmering beneath her polished surface. The anger bubbled not just for the waitress, but for every person made to feel less than. For every child who feared their dreams were too big, every artist who couldn't paint freely, every dreamer who felt silenced. Enough! Eleanor shouted, her voice powerful and raw. The entire diner turned to look at her. For a split second, silence blanketed the chaos. What did you say, lady? The burly man stepped forward, but Liz stepped beside Eleanor, her heart racing in show of solidarity. What we're trying to build here matters, Liz declared, her voice steady. Kids need encouragement. They deserve to feel safe and free. We're going to work towards that dream regardless of what you think. Eleanor felt a rush of warmth flood her chest. In Liz's fiery spirit, she could see a reflection of her own tenacity she once thought lost to her guilt cage. Let them laugh, Eleanor said, as the crowd exchanged disbelief. We're brave enough to follow through on our dreams. And you should understand, there's nothing funny about tearing others down. Their courage sent ripples through the diner. The tension thickened. Some people shifted uncomfortably in their seats, but many began to nod in agreement. Liz's heart soared, knowing her words held weight that could inspire others. But just as they basked in this moment of success, the laughter from the rowdy group grew louder, mocking. Eleanor turned to Liz, her eyes glimmering with a determination that outweighed any doubt. We can't let them destroy what we're building. They might try to dim our light, but we'll find a way to shine brighter. Together. Liz nodded, feeling the warmth of a fire growing inside her. But just as victory seemed close, a shrill voice sliced through the moment. You really think you can make a difference here? The voice belonged to a woman, equally rough-looking, who had been sitting quietly at the edge of the group. The challenge in her tone hung heavy, stirring doubt amidst the newfound hope. Eleanor and Liz turned to face her, hearts pounding. Would they falter, or could they rise to the challenge? The moment of truth awaited. Would they stand firm and press on? The laughter from the rough crowd echoed through the diner, mocking Eleanor and Liz, but that only fueled their fire. Liz felt her heartbeat quicken, adrenaline coursing through her veins. She caught Eleanor's eye, both women silently determining that they wouldn't lose this battle. Eleanor stepped forward, her chin raised defiantly. We believe in a better future, she said, her voice unwavering. Believe it or not, we're going to uplift this community, whether you like it or not. Uplift? The woman in the back scoffed, causing a ripple of amusement among her group. You really think you can change anything here? This place is the way it is for a reason. Her words dripped with derision, but Liz could see something different in the eyes of others around the room. A few quietly began whispering, nodding at Eleanor and Liz as if to say they understood, they believed. Change starts with a dream, Liz said, her words spilling out before she could stop them. And it takes brave souls to act on it. We have to start somewhere, no matter how small. Dreams? This world isn't built on dreams, sweetheart. It's built on power and money. The woman crossed her arms as laughter erupted again. Yet Liz felt a shift in the room. The patrons who once sat defeated were stirring, leaning into the drama unfolding before them. What if one person's dream can spark others? Eleanor's voice radiated strength, echoing off the walls. What if we bring together individuals who feel unheard and invisible? Isn't that worth something? The crowd grew quieter now. Curiosity replaced some of the laughter. Eleanor and Liz exchanged glances filled with determination. They were becoming a team, channeling energy from their heart's desires and hopes, standing against the chaos as if pushing back the tide. The woman's expression faltered, flickering with uncertainty. Right, and then what? It's just a fairy tale. You're wasting your time. Maybe, Liz replied, voice softening. But if we don't try, we'll never know. What we're building isn't for us, it's for every kid who needs a place to feel safe, where dreams are nurtured. It's for people like you who once dreamed something fierce. For a moment, silence settled like a warm embrace. The challenging woman seemed to reconsider, her harshness giving way to something gentler, a glimmer of recognition. Eleanor seized the moment. We're asking for your support, not your derision. What is so frightening about a little hope? One by one, the diner patrons began to engage, sharing their own stories of struggles and dreams, igniting a sense of community that began to tremble in the air. Liz and Eleanor stood at the center, emboldened by their sincerity while the rowdy crowd slowly diminished, their laughter replaced by hushed conversations about possibility. Just as the moment turned electric with new energy, The waitress, with a glimmer of tears in her eyes, approached Eleanor and Liz. "You two really believe in this, don't you?" "Yes," Liz whispered, her voice warm with conviction. "With everything in us." A smirk returned to the woman's face, but it was different now, softer somehow. "Well, you've got guts, I'll give you that." She turned on her heel, signaling the end of the encounter for her group. As they began to disperse, Eleanor took a breath, feeling the thunder of change vibrate through the diner. They had faced a challenge, and though uncertain, they had emerged with support. But the question lingered: how would they build the momentum that had sparked tonight? Would this be the turning point they'd hoped for, or would new obstacles rise to test their resolve? The thrill of victory crackled in the air, but it was mingled with uncertainty. They might have found their voice, but now they needed to find a way to amplify it. The hum of conversation began to envelop the diner, comforting and warm, but it was laced with tension. Eleanor's heart raced. She scanned the room, catching bits of hopeful chatter intertwined with whispers of doubt. "What if they actually do it?" one patron murmured. "Could we really come together and change this place?" Liz felt a wave of determination surge within her. It was a fragile moment teetering on the edge between fear and hope. Turning to Eleanor, she whispered, "Do you think we can keep this going? Turn this spark into a flame?" Eleanor nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. "We need to gather people, bring them together for a meeting. Let us plan something bigger than just this diner." Liz hesitated, feeling the weight of the world on her shoulders. It seemed like such a monumental task. "What if nobody shows up?" she asked, doubt creeping into her voice. "Then we start with whoever we have. Every voice matters. Every face counts," Eleanor assured her, squeezing her hand. And so they began to brainstorm. The two women huddled in a corner booth, scribbling notes on napkins, their hopes intertwining with ideas. They envisioned workshops, gatherings that could serve as a safe space for the community. They dreamed of a center where kids could explore their passions, where people could come to be heard and validated. As they sketched out their plans, the once rowdy crowd began to dissipate, but not without leaving a few lingering glances. Some patrons remained seated, carefully considering the words that had resonated. A few approached Eleanor and Liz, their demeanor now curious rather than confrontational. "You really think you can get a bunch of us to show up to one of your meetings?" a man asked, his arms crossed but his tone softer. Eleanor met his gaze. "Yes," she said, the conviction returning to her voice. "Not just to show up, but to participate, to make this place what we dream it can be." "I might be in," he replied, slowly beginning to uncross his arms. "But you'll have to bring real ideas. No fluff." Liz smiled, her heart swelling. "We will. We promise." That small promise ignited a series of follow-up conversations. One by one, people identified themselves and shared their stories. A single mother shared how she felt isolated, while another spoke about tutoring kids in the neighborhood. It was a delicate dance of openness, and Liz felt a stirring of unity in the air, something she and T anticipated just moments earlier. They exchanged numbers, connected over shared experiences and aspirations. With every new face that joined their circle came a fresh wave of energy. Just as light began to seep through the clouds of doubt, an unexpected visitor pushed through the diner door. A woman, older and elegantly dressed, scanned the room, her presence commanding, yet serene. Everyone quieted as she took a step toward Eleanor and Liz. "Excuse me, dear," she began, pausing for a moment, her gaze settling on them. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation." Liz exchanged a glance with Eleanor, both women fascinated. "I think what you're doing is remarkable," the woman continued, her eyes glistening. "And if you'll allow me, I'd like to be part of whatever you're planning." Eleanor's heart raced. Could this be the breakthrough they needed? The woman, still standing tall, leaned in closer and whispered, "But know this. I have a few surprises up my sleeve." What could she mean? The possibilities danced in Liz's mind, lighting it up with hope. As the diner filled with fragments of conversations and collaborations, Liz felt the weight of her worries lift just a bit more. They were on the cusp of something new. But just as the thrill of their gathering surged, Liz couldn't shake the feeling that change would not come without its own battles. What challenges awaited them in mobilizing a community so scattered? Would this spark ignite a wildfire of unity, or would unforeseen obstacles threaten their very dreams? The atmosphere in the diner shifted palpably as the elegant woman continued to stand before them, her gaze piercing yet kind. Eleanor felt a mix of excitement and nervousness bubble in her chest. "What did you mean by surprises?" she asked, standing slightly straighter. The woman smiled, a knowing glint in her eyes. "I have resources and connections that might help turn your dreams into reality." She gestured subtly, and her presence seemed to draw in the remaining patrons like moths to a flame. "Did you hear that?" Liz whispered, her eyes widening. Eleanor placed a finger to her lips to quiet her friend, turning back to their unexpected ally. "We would be grateful for any help. Just tell us where to begin." The woman introduced herself as Margaret, explaining that she had grown fond of the community over decades of visiting this diner. She'd witnessed both its decline and the resilience of its patrons. It was a legacy she did not want to see fade away. "I believe in your vision, and I want to see this diner be a hub of hope," she said, her voice steady. "But I also want to see a plan, something real and actionable." The challenge lay heavy in the air, but Liz felt a surge of purpose. They were asking for more than just a few meetings and casual gatherings. They were talking about mobilizing an entire community, unearthing the strengths hidden beneath years of struggle. "Margaret, we want to help everyone in this community," Liz said, her voice firm. "But we need to know where to start." "Let us meet tomorrow," Margaret proposed, her demeanor brightening. "We can draw up a plan together and get people excited. There's a lot of potential in this diner, and with your passion, we can make it happen." As they spoke, Eleanor's mind was racing. She was determined to solidify this new alliance. "Can we invite other community members? The more ideas, the better the plan," she urged, energized by Margaret's willingness to help. "Of course," Margaret replied, nodding. "Find those you think would contribute the most. We can set the stage." The idea of inklings of change being ignited in the hearts of people across the diner lit a fire in Liz. She felt supported by a network of new faces. "I'll talk to the single mother who was here tonight. She has great ideas on how to use the space for children's activities," Liz said, already planning her next steps. As they made arrangements to gather again, the atmosphere shifted into one of excited chatter once more. Liz listened to the vibrant discussions as enthusiasm rose around them, easing her worries with the sweet sound of hope. As the evening wound down, and patrons began to trickle out, Liz caught a glimpse of Margaret standing by the diner's door, deep in conversation with another guest. Her heart soared as she saw connections being made, a web of community slowly being woven. But as they exchanged goodbyes, a faint ache lingered in Liz's chest. What if they failed to make a real difference? What if this was just another fleeting moment, and tomorrow brought disappointment? "Let us get a good night's rest," Eleanor suggested gently, her eyes mirroring Liz's unspoken worries. "Tomorrow is a new day, and we'll tackle whatever comes." Liz nodded, allowing the hope that had ignited itself in the thoughtful conversations fill her. Knowing tomorrow could bring both light and the unknown, she clutched a napkin filled with ideas tightly in her hand, determined to face whatever awaited them. But one thing was clear. In the still of the night, as she lay in bed and envisioned their meeting, Liz couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something or someone would challenge their newfound momentum. What would the next day unveil? The morning sun peeked through Liz's curtains, casting soft beams on her face. She woke with a mixture of excitement and anxiety swirling inside her. Today was pivotal, the first day of action and potential. As she prepared for the day, she recalled Margaret's words, echoing in her mind like a motivational mantra. "Let us draw up a plan together." Liz grabbed her bag, clutching a small notebook filled with thoughts and ideas. Each scrawled word was a lifeline, a connection to the community she loved dearly. She felt the urge to share those ideas, to breathe life into forgotten dreams. After a quick breakfast, she stepped out, taking a moment to inhale the crisp morning air. As she walked to the diner, a familiar face caught her attention. It was Maeve, the single mother she had seen the night before. Maeve was pushing a stroller and looked weary yet determined. Liz hurried over, her enthusiasm bubbling over. "Hey, Maeve. I was hoping to catch you. Margaret, the woman from last night, is bringing us all together to brainstorm ideas for the diner. I thought you might want to join." Maeve's tired eyes lit up for a moment. "Wow, really? I've been thinking about ways to make it a safe space for kids." "That's exactly what we need." Let's get your ideas in. What do you think? Can we work with that? Liz spoke with an eagerness that was infectious. The mother nodded slowly, her strength seeming to grow from Liz's excitement. I'd love that. I have some thoughts on activities that could engage the kids, maybe after-school programs? Perfect. We can champion those initiatives. Just wait until you see how enthusiastic everyone else is. It'll be like the whole town is going to wake up, Liz said, feeling a current of hope electrifying the air around them. They reached the diner where Eleanor was already setting up a small table, folding chairs stacked neatly beside it. She looked up and waved, her smile as bright as the sun outside. Good morning, Eleanor chirped, her enthusiasm matching Liz's. Everyone's going to love this. I even invited some of the regulars. We need their input. All three women began to chat, leaning over ideas, sketches, and dreams. Liz could feel the energy in their voices weaving something powerful together, a tapestry of purpose interlaced with passion. Just then, Margaret arrived, her aura commanding the room's attention. Good morning, ladies. I admire this early spirit, Margaret said with a warm smile, glancing at the gathered crowd growing in the diner. How wonderful to see so many passionate voices uniting. As they shared introductions and brief glimpses of their visions, the energy continued to rise. Ideas flowed like syrup, sticky and comforting. There was talk of cooking classes, book readings, and community potlucks. Each suggestion sparked laughter, smiles, and pure excitement. However, as the sun rose higher in the sky, casting shadows of reality back into the hearts of everyone gathered, Liz couldn't suppress the fear creeping back in. What if they weren't enough? What if the old barriers of doubt and resistance reared their heads? Suddenly, the cafe door swung open with a clang, drawing everyone's attention. A tall man, dressed sharply, strolled in with an air of authority. His presence cast a shadow over the communal light they had been building. Everyone turned, curiosity intertwining with trepidation. Is this where the little community project is taking place? He asked, a smile playing on his lips, but something about his tone sent chills through Liz. Margaret stepped forward, her expression shifting, intense and unreadable. Liz felt her heart race. Who was this man, and what did he want? As the conversation began to thrum with uncertainty, Liz fought to maintain the hope that had sparked so fiercely moments before. Was this the challenge she had sensed coming, or was there something else hidden beneath that charming smile? With her heart pounding, Liz braced herself. What would be unveiled next? Liz's heart raced as the man surveyed the room, his confidence wrapping around him like a tailored suit. She fought to keep her expression neutral, but inside, she was a storm of questions and worries. Who was he? What interest could he have in their tiny diner, tucked away in the corner of their sleepy town? Ah, seems like I walked into something special, he said, stepping closer to the table. His voice was smooth, almost disarming, but there was a keen sharpness behind it that didn't sit well with her. Margaret was the first to respond, her voice steady. We're brainstorming ideas to enhance our community space here. It's a collaborative effort with local voices. Liz watched as the man's gaze lingered on each woman, assessing, calculating. Interesting, he mused, crossing his arms as he leaned against the counter. You believe you can change a community with ideas? What an idealistic notion. Liz bristled at his condescending tone. It starts with ideas. They have the power to ignite change, she shot back, her resolve hardening. She could feel the weight of the other's eyes, their encouragement spurring her forward. Sure, of course, he said, a hint of a smirk tugging at the corners of his mouth. But let us be real. Resources make a difference as much as dreams do. You can't run a diner on enthusiasm alone. The air in the diner thickened, the tension palpable. Liz could see the flicker of doubt flashing across the faces of her friends. Margaret, however, held her ground. We're not looking for handouts. We want to build something meaningful together. As she spoke, Liz found herself taking a step closer to the man. If you feel like you can help, we welcome your input. But this isn't about cash, this is about community, she said, her heart pounding in her chest. Fair enough, he replied, observing her with a newfound interest, as if he were peeling back layers to see who she really was. I just want to know if you're ready for what it takes, because this sounds ambitious. Passion doesn't always translate to action. Liz's mind raced with thoughts, but she pushed them aside, focusing on the fire of determination igniting in her heart. We know it won't be easy, but finding a way to bring people together? That's worth fighting for, she said, her voice gaining strength that moment. Eleanor, who had been quietly watching, chimed in with her gentle resolve. We're a community. We rise and fall together. It's not about singular success. It's about lifting each other up. For the first time, the man's smile faltered, recognition flashing across his features. You might just have something there, he said, more softly. But you must be prepared for outside challenges. Change doesn't come easy. As he finished speaking, Liz felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. What did he mean by outside challenges? Were there forces lurking in the shadows, ready to push against their dreams? Just then, Maeve moved forward, her voice unwavering. We will embrace every challenge. We're ready. This is our time. Their collective voices filled the diner with a reverberating determination. Liz couldn't help but smile. She felt the flicker of hope ignite once more. The fear of failure was there, gnawing at her, but the solidarity in their words wrapped around her like an embrace. Perhaps I'll stick around, the man said, his demeanor shifting slightly. I want to see how this plays out. His words hung in the air, leaving Liz with mixed feelings. Was he a potential ally, or just another obstacle? She wanted to believe they could use his presence to catalyze their efforts, but could they really trust him? As Liz stood among her friends, she knew the road ahead would be anything but smooth. A part of her apprehensively acknowledged this might be just the beginning of a bigger storm. Underneath the fluttering banners of hopeful dreams that hung in the diner, one thought echoed in her mind. Could they keep their vision alive facing the challenges ahead? And as all eyes turned back to their collective mission, Liz felt a whisper of a new possibility, the emergence of a resolve. Pushing through. What if the answer to their troubles was hidden in the very heart of the challenges they faced? The next morning, Liz awoke to the sunlight filtering softly through her bedroom window, casting gentle rays across her cluttered dresser. She pushed aside the remnants of yesterday, the scribbled notes, the crumpled napkin with ideas scrawled across its surface, and finally her grandmother's necklace. It had been her small token of encouragement ever since she could remember, and last night, while filled with doubt, it revived her spirit. As she slipped the delicate chain around her neck, feeling the familiar coolness against her skin, she recalled the gathering of voices at the diner. Each one had been a thread, weaving a tapestry of hope that warmed her heart. Still, the man's firm gaze haunted her a bit. Who was he really? What did he want? And could they trust him to foster their dreams rather than shatter them? She joined her friends at Nick's diner, where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet scent of pancakes. The atmosphere felt lighter, charged with the electric energy of possibility. Liz noticed Margaret and Maeve animatedly discussing a new idea for the community garden they dreamed of creating. Liz, Maeve beckoned her as she approached the booth. We were just talking about possibly expanding our idea beyond just the diner. What if we partnered with local businesses? We could host a community fair. The idea sparked something in Liz. A fair could unite our vision. We could highlight local crafts and maybe even have local musicians perform, she suggested, feeling a jolt of excitement charge through her. Margaret nodded, her eyes shining. And a portion of the proceeds could go to charity. It's perfect. As Liz flipped open her notebook to jot down ideas, the door swung open, and in walked the man who had waded into their business like a storm the previous day. He seemed different today, more casual without that sharp suit, wearing jeans and a simple shirt. He looked around the diner, searching until his gaze landed on their table. Mind if I join? He asked, casting a glance toward the empty seat. A sting of apprehension tightened in Liz's chest. Before she could respond, Margaret gestured for him to sit. Sure, we could use a fresh perspective. The man raised an eyebrow, but it was an invitation, not a challenge. As he settled into the booth, Liz found herself examining him more closely. She had expected arrogance, but found a strangely genuine curiosity instead. What is this about a fair? He asked, leaning in, his tone light but probing. Liz took a breath, feeling the weight of his presence. We want to bring the community together, showcase local talent and businesses while helping a cause. We believe we can create something meaningful. He nodded, his expression shifting as if he found intrigue in their enthusiasm. That sounds promising. But tell me this, what will set your fair apart? Why should anyone care? Liz's heart raced. and she exchanged glances with her friends, their resolve battered but unbroken. Because it's not just a fair. It's about the people. It's about our stories, our dreams, and we want to inspire others. We want to show what we can do together, she stated passionately, each word spilling from her heart. He studied her intensely, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a flicker of admiration in his eyes. You're ambitious. I respect that, he replied slowly. Just then, Eleanor, who had quietly been listening, spoke up. What if you helped us? Your experience could guide us through these challenges better than we could alone. The man paused, weighing the offered alliance. As the air thickened with tension, Liz felt the weight of everyone's expectations. Suddenly, a realization hit her. This was a pivotal moment. Did they dare to ally with someone whose motivations were still shrouded in mystery? He leaned back, shrugging slightly. Let us be honest, but just then, the diner's door swung open again. A gust of wind brushed in, and with it came an elderly woman with an air of wisdom. Her rich, vibrant scarf hung around her neck, reminiscent of the sun setting over a warm horizon. As she approached, Liz felt a mix of awe and anticipation. Was this unexpected visitor another piece of the puzzle, or another storm brewing on the horizon? As the woman approached their table, Liz took a deep breath. What story would unfold, and how might it shift the course of their mission? The heart of change felt very near, and Liz was ready to embrace the unknown. As Liz settled back into the bustling diner, a flicker of excitement mingled with apprehension in the air. The elderly woman taking deliberate steps toward their booth felt like a whirlwind, her vibrant scarf twirling like a dream about to unfold. Good morning, everyone, she announced, her voice ringing clear. The diner's chatter paused, all eyes gravitating toward her. I'm Clara. I've been hearing wonderful things about what you're planning. Liz's heart raced. Could this be the spark they needed? Clara's presence brought an undeniable warmth. Thank you for saying that. We're excited to create a community fair that celebrates everything we can be together. Clara's eyes twinkled with mischief. You don't just want a fair, do you? You want to weave a fabric of connection, right? Liz exchanged glances with Margaret, Maeve, and Eleanor, feeling the momentum swell like the tide. Yes, we want to inspire people and showcase the talents that exist right here. I've always believed in the power of collective dreams, Clara responded, her serene smile illuminating the booth. I have some stories to share and maybe connections that could help. The man who had sat down looked intrigued, leaning closer. Connections? Like how? Clara turned toward him, her gaze steady. This diner holds the spirit of your community, and it's vital. If you want to bridge gaps, tap into the histories of those who've been here longer than you all have. I know the folks who used to own half the blocks around this town. They remember the essence of the place. Liz felt hope bloom. What do you mean? Clara nodded. You need to listen to the stories of the elders, build relationships with them, and bring them to the forefront. Their insights could guide you. Let us plan a storytelling section at the fair. Maeve chimed in, excitement sparking in her voice. We can invite local elders to share their experiences, create a space for memories. Everyone loves a good story. The energy shifted, surging through the group. The man's lips curled into a smirk. Storytelling? Now that's unique. Eleanor squared her shoulders, her determination unwavering. What if Clara could help us reach those people? We could include their stories, their talents in our fair. That could set it apart. A new sense of purpose ignited within the group. Clara's presence seemed to calm the energy surrounding them, urging them to embrace their beginnings, ensuring they wouldn't forget the roots of their community. The enigmatic man straightened his posture. You all are onto something here, he mused, leaning forward, genuinely invested now. But you'll need a plan. Count me in. The collective gasps of surprise met him as Clara smiled knowingly. Sometimes the most unlikely allies can prove to be your greatest assets. Liz couldn't shake the thrill racing through her veins. So, since we have a potential ally, why don't we take this opportunity to organize a small gathering and bring in those relationships Clara spoke of? Let us gather the community elders and ask for their input. Great idea. Clara agreed, her eyes flashing with pride. But remember, you must honor their stories, reflect their wisdom, and let it shape your endeavor. Every person in the booth began to scribble notes, fueled by inspiration. Details flowed like a river, each thought spilling into the next, igniting a conversation of hope. The diner was buzzing again, the sense of a shared dream blossoming. The man interjected. Count me in to help with logistics. I can make calls and find the resources you'll need. As Liz listened, she could hardly contain her joy. Maybe this truly could be a turning point for their ambitions. Tomorrow then, we can organize our first gathering. Clara, can you help spread the word? I would be honored, Clara replied, her voice warm. This is just the beginning. With plans set into motion, they all stood, Liz leading the charge. Community means embracing everyone. No matter their past or their story, this fair is going to belong to all of us. As they departed, the energy in the diner felt electric and alive. There was an undeniable shift, an echo of hope filling every corner. Liz walked home with a smile, her heart swelling as she slipped her mother's necklace over her head, the familiar weight resting warmly against her chest. Their stories mattered. Every step they took felt monumental, melding potential with shared dreams, paving roads that had previously been shrouded in doubt. As night fell, Liz looked up at the stars, feeling the waves of hope embrace her. The world might still hold challenges, darkness might still lurk around every corner, but together, they were ready to face whatever came. They had each other, a tangle of passion and purpose that couldn't be extinguished. And if they could unite their stories, unify their dreams, they could build something great. With that thought echoing in her mind, Liz fell asleep, dreaming not just of the fair, but how every heart might be touched by the journey they were about to embark upon, a journey of togetherness and transformation. The real adventure had only just begun. Now, as Liz and her friends stepped into this unfolding narrative of connection and hope, it was clear they were destined to reshape their community. Together, and you have to be a part of this inspiring journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, because your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let's spread the love and change the world together.